Hi guys, welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be going over the patch notes that came out on the 12th of April, patch 1.0.318. In this video a couple of the sort of meta builds got nerfed and there's been a couple of other changes, so we're going to go over the main changes and yeah, let's find out what's going on. Going to give a bit of update of what's been happening in the week and yeah, just have a bit of a general overview. There isn't really any footage in the background. This is more of a sort of talking series, so feel free just to have it on in the background. That's kind of the best way to do it, really. So first of all, the directors have put some notes in saying that after this has been like a month anniversary of running Galahad. This patch is likely to be as close as we're going to get to final build end of beta, which is good. It means that we're getting to end game, which means people can now start deciding things like builds, things like group comps, all that sort of thing, and find out what's going on. They've changed a couple of things about the marketplace. It's nothing really big. It's just, I think they've added like an extra step, so you have to confirm. This is because a lot of people that weren't sure about it were just auto selling to like 1 silver buyers, and it was just ruining some people's experience. They've made some massive reputation changes again, which, I mean, I think they've acknowledged that there was a problem with the reputation, so I'm glad that they're working on it at least. So I'm going to go over these changes. Increased reputation gain from PvE by 33%. That is just baseline. So just as an absolute baseline, if you were getting rep from PvE, it's now increased by 33%. That's pretty cool. It means people going for things like Glorious get there a lot quicker. It then goes on to say, unless the player is suspicious, where it is increased by 50% instead. And Nefarious/Dreaded levels, where it is increased by 100%. So this means the lower rep you have, the more negative rep you have, the quicker you can get back to being 0. Which is the idea of it, which means that basically they're trying not to punish people, which I think is really cool. If you want to go in PvP, you are locked out for a while. There is decay to 0 rep, but we'll go into that further later on. It just means that you can farm it back together with a good group quite quickly, and I think that's cool. They've also lowered the reputation attack and knockdown penalties, so the attack penalty now is 50 rep, the knockdown penalties is 500 rep, I believe, negative. And again, it just means you can do more PvP. They're actually trying to encourage PvP and things like black zones and red zones and yellow zones, which I think is cool. They've made some changes then. So they've changed the damage buff cap. So what this is if you were to use things like Royal Helmet, Leather Helmet, Arcane Beam, Assassin, it would only ever stack up to 200%. So the highest damage buff you could get in this game was 200%. That never could get any higher. They've changed that to 150% now. So even if you run every damage bonus in the game, you could still only get to 150%. I think that's pretty cool. It just stops people getting one shot, which is what was happening. But we'll go into that again further in a second. Invisibility spells make you invisible to all players now, including allies. Makes it impossible to cast buffs like Arcane Beam on invisible allies. So what was happening is people were getting 3 stacks on daggers, going stealth, Arcane will pop in a beam on them, and they were opening for like 3k on players, and just one-shotting them from 100 to 0. So it's pretty... They've basically tried to nerf that combo. It also means you can't heal invis players now, because you can't target them. That's a big change, actually. It's really, really taken Assassin Jacket out of the meta. And I'm not sure about that. I think Assassin Jacket's still pretty strong because of the stealth. But yeah, it's definitely really changed up the meta a little bit. In Power Beam from the Arcane weapons, max damage increase is 100% rather than 140% now, so it just stacks up to 100%. And it starts at 20% rather than 50%. So as soon as you do it, it's a 20% buff and it stacks up to 100. Again, I like this. It means that people aren't going to get one shot, but it still puts Arcane somewhere in a group composition. Ambush, which is the Assassin Jacket stealth, max damage increase is now 50% from 60%, and it's also only 5% from 15% on activation. So you open with you get into stealth and it's only a 5% buff rather than a 15 immediately. Again, I like this. What they're trying to do is stop people being burst so much, and I think I like that. I think I like the fact that they're trying to give outplay, and at the moment, I don't think there was when you had a good dagger user that caught someone that didn't have a way to counterplay it. They've changed slit throat off the dual daggers. Damage is now split into instant damage 60% and damage over time 40%. So what this means is the total damage stays the same, however the instant damage is no longer like a ridiculously high amount. It's split into instant damage and damage over time. Most people are calling this a dagger's nerf. I actually think it's a sneaky buff. So obviously they will have been nerfed through beam and ambush, but for daggers themselves, just slit throat, I think it's a sneaky buff. Because you can't outplay a dot as much as you could outplay the instant damage. So I was counting assassin stacks when I was fighting with daggers, and as soon as it got to like relative high stacks, I just blocked. The stacks ran out, and they couldn't do anything, and that was it. It was outplayed then. I could pop giant, and I just mitigated their entire big burst. Now they actually have consistent pressure, like the damage over time lasts for something like 4 seconds, I believe, which puts actual good pressure on someone by the time you get to the next slit throat when you can do it all again. So daggers have become more of a threatening class now in terms of consistent pressure. It's become less of a threat in terms of one-shot burst, and I think I like the idea of that more so than what it was, because if they didn't get their big hit off, they were kind of useless. The cast times had a very 0.2 of a second buff, but it really isn't noticeable. So they've now changed, reduced the amount of fame and silver gained in red zones by 10%, increased the amount of fame and silver gained in outlands, being black zones, by 10%, and increased the amount of fame gained in hellgates by 10%. So hellgates, being a black zone, actually received a 20% buff, black zones received a 10% buff, and red zones received a 10% nerf. They're trying to encourage people to go to black zones because at the moment there just wasn't a big enough difference, and a lot of people were just going to red zones because it was safer and closer to town, and black zones have been kind of ignored unless you've got territory there. So I like this. It's encouraging people to go to the black zones now. It also means black zones are a little bit more of a war zone. I went there earlier and within 3 minutes we had like a full group coming to kill us. It actually means PvP's there now, which is cool. So there's a couple of expedition changes. It's nothing really major. There's a change to the T6 boss, which is now because people were keeping the one of the ads alive on the T6 expedition boss. It stopped him going into his lightning storm phase. Now it just naturally occurs after 50%, which means people can start killing the ads. So they've made a massive change to fame gained from studying. It's now 2 times the fame from the original craft. So if you got 100 from the craft and then studied, you get 200 fame, and then that's 300 fame in total for one craft. That's actually really big. Like, I imagine we're going to be seeing a lot of people climbing the fame boards now, just studying things and learning things. It also takes a lot less time to learn things like tier 5, which isn't hard, but it's just twice as fast now, quite literally. They fixed inspect finally. I hadn't thought about this the other day on stream, and people were a bit 50-50 with my idea. I don't think you should be able to inspect someone in a flagged area. So if I'm in a black zone, sorry, I'm just replying to this. If I'm in a black zone, I shouldn't be able to see who I'm fighting. You're a PvP zone. Like, there should be a certain skill element there to say, okay, this person is running a cursed staff, but you don't know which one. Like a royal helmet because he's got horns, or this or that, and you could sort of pick apart someone's gear by guessing, and that's a skill cap. Like, that's a skill level. Like, running around in town, there was no reason to have inspect off. Like, I would like to see what people are running in things like jewels, whatever, but yeah, I think there could be a way to have inspect off in PvP zones. That would be pretty cool. Let me know your thoughts on this in comment below. They fixed the gallop bug, but it was didn't really matter anyway. And other than that, the major changes is like the royal armor sets now. What you had to do before, where it has 3 recipes, so you have to craft a base piece and then upgrade it with royal sigils. You could only use the 1 out of 3 recipe. If you use the other 2, it wouldn't work. They fixed that now, so you can craft anything and then upgrade it, which is pretty cool. They've fixed an iron power bug as well, but it's purely like aesthetic. It made no difference to the weapon. Other than that, there's not really too many more changes. The sort of reputation, the damage changes are the big ones, and obviously inspect being back in the game. Other than that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video today. I've broken down the patch notes for you. Anything else, leave a comment below, like, subscribe, you know, all the usual stuff. Check my Twitch out. I am looking, so a bit of news tomorrow. Tomorrow's stream is going to be a bit of a mixed up one. I've actually got a meeting at around 12 o'clock, so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to stream at that time. So I'm going to stream from 8 in the morning UK time till 11 maintenance. From 11 till probably 2 or 3ish I'll be out. I won't be able to stream or play. And then about 3 o'clock, me and Lupac have got some plans as what we're going to be doing. So yeah, let's hope to see you there tomorrow. Other than that, guys, have a good day. Catch you later.